Can a criminal record be erased? That is the question we're answering today. The short answer is yes, it can be erased. You've got to do a couple things first. First, if you're in Texas, you've got to get your case dismissed, or you have to get an acquittal from a jury, or the case has to be no-billed by the grand jury, and it'll get dismissed. Or enough time has to have passed, and they never filed a criminal charge against you, or something like that. So some way that the district attorney's office in your jurisdiction, law enforcement, they had to have a chance to prosecute you for this charge, and then they didn't do it, or they weren't successful in doing it, something like that. If you enter into a probation, like a deferred probation, even though the case gets dismissed at the end of the probation, if it's a regular Class B or higher offense, we're not talking about traffic tickets, but like a regular arrestable criminal offense, and you have entered into that deferred probation, you cannot get that expunged. So it's only cases that got dismissed, you were acquitted at trial, it got no billed, they never filed the charge, some version of that. A lot of people call up and will ask about cases that happened a long time ago, like, is there a time limit on when you can get something expunged if it was dismissed? Well, if it was dismissed, there's no time limit that like you lose your ability to go back and get it expunged. You can always file that. The question is normally, has enough time gone by? There's a law called the statute of limitations, and that tells a prosecutor how long they have to bring a charge. So let's say a regular misdemeanor offense of theft from Walmart. Let's say the theft occurred, on January 1st of 2023. Well, if 2 years have gone by since that time, then and no criminal charge has been filed, no arrest has been made, the case is not pending in a court, or it's not been pending and then you skip bond or something like that, but they just haven't done anything, then you cannot prosecute someone for that misdemeanor level theft from Walmart case. The statute of limitations limiting the government's ability to use the resources of the state to prosecute has expired. And so if that's the case, even if you were arrested, but they never charged the case in court, you can go back and get that expunged. And when we say expunged, that is kind of like saying erased, because the sheriff's office who made the arrest will have to delete all their records. The words they actually use in the statute is they have to obliterate every record, and it makes it a crime for them to be in possession of these things. You can find all this stuff under Chapter 55 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Fair warning, it is a very difficult statute to read. Even lawyers have a hard time parsing through exactly what it's saying. It has a lot of internal cross-references. There's a lot of rules about if more than one offense is committed in the same, what we call a transaction, meaning like on the same day or around the same time. There's different rules for that. And you definitely need the help of an attorney to navigate this kind of stuff. But it can happen. You can have an arrest for something. You could have fought a case. If it was dismissed, which is the most likely way for a crime to be eligible for an expunction, is through a dismissal by the prosecutor. If that's what happened, then there's a good chance you're going to be eligible for an expunction. But an attorney should be able to talk with you, and after a few minutes and looking up some court documents, they should be able to tell you whether they think you're eligible for an expunction, and then they'll be able to help you through the process. Let's take a closer look at a couple of the provisions of the expunction law, and it's the part that makes it a crime. Once an expunction has occurred, it becomes a crime for the government to be in possession of those documents. They have to obliterate them, is what it says. Any record of your arrest. And it says a person who acquires knowledge of an arrest while an officer or an employee of the state, and that arrest has then been expunged, they commit a criminal offense if they knowingly release, disseminate, or otherwise use the record or files. And a person who fails, like let's say a clerk who fails to return or to obliterate identifying portions of a record subject to an expunction, they also commit this Class B offense. A Class B is punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $2,000 fine. It is a really serious matter. If you get an expunction, you are entitled for it to be erased and obliterated, any record of it. What we do during an expunction process is we notify all those agencies through the government that have that criminal history information. And we tell them, look, this is what the court is saying. The court signs off on it. They have a period of time that they have in order to destroy those records. And then we go from there. A lot of times people will also ask me, like, what about private entities? And this is a little bit of a gray area because there are a lot of private entities that will honor an expunction. For example, in Montgomery County, we have a couple organizations that publish mugshot criminal history information. So, like your booking photo from the jail. Well, we're pretty successful at getting those removed. We have a relationship with those companies that when we send them an expunction order showing that a case has been expunged, they're typically removing these things. We have good success with that. But, if you think about the O.J. Simpson case, he was acquitted at trial, and you can still find information about that case online. Even though he'd be entitled to an expunction, are they really going to go back and tell NBC and ABC and all the major news corporations that followed the Bronco chase, you got to delete your footage of that? The First Amendment issues there, that kind of comes into play as well. So most people's case is not a big profile media case. We're looking at a couple mugshots here or there, and that's probably some of the most important things that people, when they're wanting to get criminal history erased, they're wanting that erased so that when you Google their name, they're not popping up anymore. I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's been helpful to you. Remember, this is not legal advice for your specific case. We'd have to have a conversation about your specific case to have that. And if you've got a question, this video was the result of a user question. Go ahead and ask it in the comments below. We'll take a look at it. And if we can answer your question, we'll do so. Thanks.